Report.
Rev, Emilio Roman, South Jersey.
Oh yeah, Gloucester City in the house. What's going on? Good morning. How you feeling today?
Good morning, my brother. Great to see you. Here we are, man. Here we are. Another roll call. You and I
Yeah.
love these days. It takes a little bit, right? We got to get that, the boogers in our eyes out, man. But we
Oh
love
yeah.
coming on here.
Yeah. It's I you know what usually crosses my mind, Emilio? What goes through my mind, brother, is always say, man, like, who's up right now? That's what I think about. Like
Winners.
certain people, yeah, people I care about, people I love, um, different veterans that I know across the landscape. I'm like, man, who's up right now? Like who needs to hear the messages that we have, every Monday morning, every Friday. Not get it, a lot of people catch the replay and stuff like that, but man, it's something about, being there in that authentic moment of streaming when it's really happening. So,
That's
but hey, like you said, winners, man. Winners got to win today, right?
it, man. Nah,
Yeah,
thank you, Coach Theo. And again, man, this is it's a special time, and you and I now have been doing this, and we did the pilot, right? Because if people weren't responding, they weren't showing up, this would be something that we just wouldn't keep going, right? We're not going to
yeah,
keep going with something that's just not working, just to
right.
satisfy our talk. And so we've hit something, we've hit a nerve within the veteran community and their families, and they've responded. They've
Yeah,
responded in full, and so they're showing up. They're showing up big, and we're improving, right? You asked me, or in private, Coach Tia and I were giving each other feedback, and he was like, "We got to step this up." I was like,
yeah,
"Okay." So we're going to be stepping it up here in February.
yeah, bro. And that's exciting, man. And I agree with you. We're this is our 20th live stream. This is number 20. I just looked at it literally because it shows all the previous live streams or whatnot. So this marks number 20, man. And I could be honest and tell you, I really, man, from a podcaster myself with Light Bulb Lessons in Leadership, been doing it for a few years. I know you've done podcasting, um, and many other great things in terms of being in front of the camera, brother. I've really enjoyed this, man. Like I've enjoyed it. And it's something to look forward to because guess what? As veterans, excuse me, as veterans, we love routine, bro. Let's be honest. Like we love that routine of things. That's what we're used to. We're used to set time. Like that's why we call it 07 roll call.
Right.
Because Camp Horno, Camp Pendleton, California, brother, it's 07 every stinking morning, bro. Rain, sleet, snow, or shine. It's 07. And everybody knew that was kind of like the nucleus. Like no matter how far I stretched, the night prior, meet a little chick up in Compton somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
Got to show up.
hey, I gotta be there. Just stay with me. No, I gotta be there because you already know, man, your career is riding on that. So the same thing with this, man. Connection for the Born to Risk uh Veterans Inaugural Edition / roll call, man. It means a lot to me, brother, and I appreciate it, man, because we're moving in our purpose, we're moving in our why, we're moving in the things, Emilio, that really matter, and in that sense of purpose, man. Like I said, it's if you don't have one, man, it could get real lonely. If you're kind of just being pulled in all the different directions from everybody else, but you got these things inside of you that you enjoy or you want to do or explore. It can get very stagnant, and that's where we start getting into some of those issues of the big one off the top, suicide, brother. Like we've had so many individuals, and the last one for me, I won't say his name out of respect for his family, but uh, he's Gunnery Sergeant, man, worked with him overseas in Okinawa. And then once he retired, I remember he called me and he's like, man, I see you online and man, you doing all these amazing things, Sergeant Major, and wow, proud of you and all that. And I'm like, man, whatever, man. What about you? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Let's talk about you, good brother. And he oh man, dog. I just remember telling him, man, find that purpose, bro. Find that why. And he said it, Reverend Emilio. He said it straight up. He said, hey, I'm thinking about taking over the little youth football team. We have a real big league here. Like, all the kids from service
Yes.
members and whatnot. It's a big league. He was like, man, and I have an opportunity to be a football coach in that league. And he ended up doing it. And then boom, I started seeing the purpose picking up steam. I see him on Facebook, Reverend Emilio, out there coaching, got his whistle on, and he's got the kids huddled up, and I just remember how I felt like, man, he's in his purpose, bro. And what is that purpose for that gentleman? He's leading. He's putting back into the youth. He feels like all the training, all the skill sets that he has that he's learned over all these years, going from shore to shore, sea to shining sea, meeting so many different people, real responsibility, all those things. Now he could take that, package it and put it back into the young youth. And sure enough, man, I wouldn't say a year, bro. I look up, he's the coach of the year. He's getting the accolades and all that. Everybody loves him. Parents in the chat talking about how amazing of a coach he is and how he's helped develop their kid and all that good stuff. And man, I was just like, hey, man, he's good. Checking the box. He's good, bro. A gentleman that I spent good quality time with, gentleman that I hugged many a times, shook his hand, looked him in his eye many a times, and then boom, out of nowhere, another Marine, Gunny Chapman. Shout out to Gunny William Chapman. I saw he posted, I can't believe this. He's really gone. And Reverend Emilio, I'm like, man, I just remember the anxiety I felt in that moment of like, man, who's gone? That could be anybody. That could be one of his family members. That could be something. I don't know, but I hit up Chapman, and Chapman's out in Okinawa as well. I hit him up. He responded right back. He said, yeah, Gunny. He said his name. Man, he took his life today, Sergeant Major. And dog, it was just, man, you and I being in Manassas with Dr. Reed and the He-Man. I told you about, Master Sergeant Pages. Same thing. It's just like, man, God, Lee, dog, when you've been around someone that you've seen go through the hardships, you've seen, dig in and find a way. You've seen them in action leading other individuals at a very high level. I'm not just talking about just telling them what to do and, go back in the office. No, I'm talking about example, really leading them by example, doing the hard stuff type thing. And then boom, they're gone. Man, yeah, I appreciate you because you allowed me to express, bro. This is therapeutic for me just talking about it. Reverend Emilio. You truly allow me. You don't be cutting me off. Hey, T.O. Well, let's talk about, no, you really do. And that's why I love this platform because for all of us, man, and I speak on behalf of many of us, brother. This Stu Maynard's in the chat. Shout out to my brother Stu Maynard, Jonathan Ragland. Like, them gentlemen truly know, man, like it is really therapeutic when we come together. And it's that magical synergy that you just can't make up. I know 100%, and I'll digress, Reverend Emilio. On behalf of his family, I know a couple minutes ago, uh, I didn't say his name, but my spirit right now says that I'm sure his family would want me to say his name. Gunnery Sergeant Brian Hemphill. Brian Hemphill, man. Shout out to Gunnery Sergeant Brian Hemphill, man. And there's Marines out there. As soon as they hear that name, they know. Same thing with Breonna Taylor. Say her name. Say her name. Man, Gunnery Sergeant Brian Hempill, man. Shout out to that cat today. Because maybe if roll call, was coming across his feed every Monday and Friday, maybe he'd still be here with us. We just don't know, and may he rest in power, but we all collectively know as service members, bro. Um, it's not about you, bro. And I'm saying it right now, live on the stream, brother. Like I don't do well around self-licking ice cream cones. Not me, bro. I don't. Because it's one of them things that I realized, sitting in those office spaces, man, and looking colonels in the face, lieutenant colonels, brigadier generals, and they're looking at me as the enlisted Marine saying, how do we fix it, Clay? What can we do? I don't have the answer, Clay. My college education is not stopping these individuals from taking their life. My bars, my stars. What can we do? I didn't have that fortitude in me to sit there and say, well, this star, this diamond, these cross rifles on my collar. I don't have the answer. I couldn't do that. I would always say what my pop says: if there's a will, there's a way, sir. But we got to find what that will really is. What are we going to do? Are we just going to keep turning a blind eye every time we turn up and another service member taking their life? It got so bad to a point, brother. And I'm not trying to turn this episode into, all about suicide, bro. But whatever God puts in my spirit, brother, I have to say it, man. It got so bad at a time to where they had this thing called the blue whale. The blue whale, bro, where individuals would take a blue Sharpie magic marker and they would draw a whale on their forearm, like just their best version of a whale on their forearm, bro. And what that meant was at any given time, they were going to take their life. But man, the whole Marine Corps, was behind the power curve, bro. But them junior Marines knew it. They knew it. And man, I promise you, man, probably the worst I've ever chewed out smoked Marines. Lost my cool was over that. And I remember telling the Marines, dog, hey, if any one of you fools, running around here with a dang on well on your freaking arm, I'm gonna put you in a figure four, and body slam your face to the deck, because like I said to them, what you don't understand is somebody has to deal with that situation, man. Not only the hurt of the loss, but man, when that spouse calls, or that mom calls, or seeing that little brother in middle school that has to fly out to the base and stand there, and just in total shock that the last time I saw my brother on Thanksgiving, everything was okay, and now they're telling me he took his life. So to anyone out there, man, and all my partners out there, everybody that rides with Reverend Emilio and I, man, speak up. This is it's real, man. Like service members, 22 a day, bro. 22. And a lot of the times it's because they lonely, bro. A lot of the times it's because nobody's calling them no more. Nobody's reaching out to them. Nobody's shooting them a text just saying, man, what up, dog? You good? It ain't about money. It ain't about none of that. It's just about, man, what up? And I'm grateful, Reverend Emilio, for this platform because it gives us that sense of purpose once again, brother. And I thank you. Chapter 22, Born to Risk. That's special, man. Like I'm so proud and happy about this book that we got over the finish line. Everything that try to stop us, try to come in between us, try to, infiltrate, it's about money, or oh man, I can't this, I can't, man, we pushed through Reverend Emilio. We did, bro. Daniela, all the other individuals, Stu Main and them coming to help. And we showed the true rendition of what it is to really have each other six. we did it. And I think, man, collectively, that's what God wanted, bro. I
brother.
think I really do, Reverend Emilio. I think God was like, man, I'm gonna put these service members through the ringer once again and see how they respond. Because that's the thing, man. You can sit back and watch somebody else on the screen and talk whatever you talk. But the reality is, man, you still got to go look in the mirror. If you brush your teeth, if you shave, whatever, you got to look your face in the mirror. And I ask you, bro, especially if you're a veteran, are you helping the next veteran, bro? Because that right there, it's for real. Like, so shout out to Gunny Hemphill, man, and shout
Thank you.
out to
Thank you.
his children, man, because it's real, bro. So I appreciate
Coach,
that, man.
no,
I'll
man,
be
listen,
quiet. I'll be quiet 17 minutes. I'll be
listen,
quiet the
hey, listen,
rest
listen,
of the
brother.
morning, bro.
Listen, brother. Good morning again to you and everyone watching. Coach Tio, for those of you that are tuning in, and thank you guys. Coach Tio is pouring out his heart. And again, it's real, right? The 22 lives a day are taken by veterans. And again, it's not just veterans, right? There's many others, but this is we're hyper focused on our veterans and their community with families. And so we're grateful for you. Please, sharing is caring. Okay, we talk
Yeah.
about two things here on the show. If you just joined us, John, blessings to you. Good morning. Please share this out. There's someone that needs to hear this message. Coach Tio went in like 15 minutes in, poured out. He even named some names of some veterans that are Marines and sailors and airmen and that are no longer with us. Okay,
Right.
and to that point, we also talk about shared pain is less pain. That's a philosophy that I live by. That's a philosophy that Coach Tio, he just expressed it. Just by coming on here and sharing with what's on his mind, what's that, those angst, those pains, that helps him. And here's something that I've learned in the rooms of recovery where they talked about this. And I remember hearing a story of a gentleman, Coach Tio, where he wanted to drink, right? And he understood, and I got goosebumps. He understood that he's got to get it out. He can't just keep it in and act like everything is cool. He would go up to a stranger because whatever the situation was, he didn't have that support other than the AA and recovery meetings. And he would just go up to a stranger and say, listen, I feel like drinking today. Do you mind just listening to me? Can you just listen to me?
Yeah,
And
bro.
imagine that, like the courage, the risk to recognize that he's had to deal with that. He's got to share it out, because if he keeps that pain bottled in, he's going to move towards the bottle.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we're experiencing here, Coach Tio, right? You're sharing it. And we need to understand as we're going to bring someone on, or whoever's there, we want to bring a veteran on. I want to go back to what you and I talk about, and that's the HALT, right? HALT. And for those that are not familiar with that acronym, it stands for hunger, angry, lonely, and tired. So if anyone is out there and they're capable of writing this down, write this down. It's HALT. And it's a way to check in with ourselves. Okay? Especially we're talking about suicide. Good morning, Jonathan. And so for me, a lot of times, and for you, we make poor decisions when we're hungry. Think about it. The mood. So HALT, right? HALT means you stop. H, hungry. Man, when was the last time I ate? Because I'm making bad decisions. Like I'm feeling weird. A, when you're angry, I know that's an emotion that we all have. Some are quicker than others, like me. Like that's something I've been challenged with. I'm not an angry person, but I've been challenged with it. You see, I don't identify as an angry person. So again, checking in with yourself. How am I feeling right now? And then we move into the L, lonely. That's the kiss of death, Coach Tio, when it comes to suicide.
It
Loneliness. You isolate. And we know the signs. We know the signs. People start giving things away. They just don't sound the same. Like, hey, Coach Tio, like, that my prized possession is something with my grandbabies, right? And I'm like, hey, Coach Tio, I want to gift you this. That should be warning signs. Something's not right with Emilio. He's giving away his prized possession. And then lastly, the T in HALT, we can all admit in the military, thank you, Daniela, you know, we have this pride when we're in the Marine Corps and all that, you know, sleep deprivation, you know, that's a thing when you're
Yeah.
training and learning. But as we
Yeah.
leave the military, that we need the rest.
Heck yeah, man.
We can't stay hyper focused on that. So hopefully, Coach Teal, that helps someone. And that's piggybacking off of what you were saying, because it's real. 20 minutes into this, we want people to walk away with some real tools. Please share this out and do what Coach Teal is doing. Shared pain is less pain. And if you can't reach out to someone and they're not available, this is why, lastly, you tune in to what we're doing, because your environment, right, sets the standards.
Yeah. That's powerful, brother. Yeah, I love the halt. You know, I mean, it's near and dear to all of us, bro, veterans, because every veteran knows halt. Who goes there? You know, you know what I'm saying? Like halt. Who goes there?
Yeah.
You know, that's that security. That's that duty. That's the things that you know, the whole base, the whole command is riding on your attentiveness, your awareness of potentially an intruder coming in. And for the civilians out there that do not understand what I'm saying, when you're on security and you see you know, a potential threat, that's the command we're taught to give from boot camp. From the first day you arrive at boot camp, you're taught halt. Who goes there? And Sergeant Major Clay, please take your ID out. Take the ID out. Place it on the deck. Place it on the deck. Take 5 steps back away from the ID. Now, mind you, 9 times out of 10, we have a weapon. You know, so those commands are pretty, you know, serious. So, and to take that and flip that to you know, the hungry, the angry, the lonely, the tired. Yeah, a lot of times on duty you feel that. But again, what's happening, Reverend Emilio, you know, brothers and sisters are taking care of each other. You know, John Yannick will come and bring me a Gatorade just out of nowhere. You know, hey, Marine, I brought you this Gatorade, because everybody knows that collective feeling of duty pretty much sucks. Duty is a 24-hour post.
Yeah.
So you got different individuals that will look out for you, you know, bring you some chow, you know, whatever, just to kind of get that time of that 24-hour period, you know, pass feeling the best possible way that we can. So I see that the same way, you know, hungry, angry, and it just really hits me, man, when you said, you know, coming up and saying, can I ask you a question or whatever? I don't, you know, I want to have a drink, but I don't want to have a drink. Whatever it is, you know, just that feeling of intervention, man. And like you said, uh, the signs are there a lot of times. Sometimes they're not. You know, sometimes they're not. Or sometimes the individual are displaying the signs, but we don't pick up on those signs because we're so in tune and worrying about ourselves, you know, and what's on our plate and what's on our mind and how busy we are. And like you said, excuse me, loneliness, man. So yeah, powerful, brother. Very
Yeah.
powerful.
Thank you for sharing that. Do we have anyone on deck? Because I know we have we would love to honor any of the veterans that
Yeah,
are in the
man.
book. Oh, look who it is. My good brother, Steve Moore. How are you? Who are you? Report.
I'm doing well, better than I deserve, I think, some mornings. Wow. I came in the middle of your talk, Coach Tio, and can everybody hear
Can
me?
we get your camera up? Okay, I'm sorry. There you go. Okay, can we get your beautiful mug? Outstanding. There we go.
Yeah, my unshaven mug. Sure, no problem.
Go for it, brother.
Suicide is. I mean, I've been a licensed counselor for 25 years. And your talk brought me back to, I used to work with adolescents when I first came up in the counseling ranks. And this one still haunts me to this day. Um, I was a counselor to a very troubled young man in Omaha, Nebraska. Um, and he made the national headlines for all the wrong reasons. I was never able to reach him because he remained so insular and wouldn't talk to me or anybody about the deep seated pain that he felt. Well, this young man, I had been his counselor for about 18 months. And this young man was unfortunately, through the hazards of the social services systems that was in Omaha, Nebraska, he turned 18 and he was basically kicked out of the system. He didn't have any more help. He didn't have free access to counseling or any of that stuff. And little did anyone know, he was feeling so much pain emotionally that he proceeded to take several of the weapons. He was a military dependent. His father was stationed at Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, Nebraska. But this young man proceeded to take basically several guns and rounds of ammunition and go to the local shopping mall there, Von Moore clothing store. And he proceeded to basically murder, I think it was 7 or 8 people. And then he turned the rifle on himself. So, I mean, that give you, and this particular, young man's case, still, rests with me even today. I know those that are left behind, are often asking themselves, what did I miss? What signs were there that did I miss? Could I have done something different? You find yourself asking all those questions, and military, the military is no different. We have the same problem as civilians. But suicide is it's a brutal thing. I like Emilio. I hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. I feel like I've been living that for the past 35 years of my life. It's fun. I kind of brought back some memories. My wife used to always ask me every time I would, get grumbly and grouchy. She'd always look at me and go, "When's the last time you ate?" Because she knew, she knew. But we find ourselves easily neglecting ourselves. Hunger is the way the body nourishes itself. It's the way it's like our internal alarm system telling us, "Hey, I'm hungry, feed me," and that doesn't necessarily have to mean with food. It can also mean, spiritually. I start my morning with, prayers for peace of mind. It's the meditation book that I'm going through right now. Matter of fact, I actually liked this morning, God defeats the giants in your life. Said David replied to the Philistine, "You come to me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of heaven's armies." 1 Samuel 17:45. And it said, for the Israelites, everything changes when David shows up at the battlefield, because David brings something with him that no one else has, a different perspective. Saul is the Israelites and even Goliath see this as a human battle, but David views it as a spiritual one. With only a sling and a small stone, David took down a giant, and what seemed impossible from an earthly viewpoint became reality when approached with an eternal perspective. Anxiety can make us see only what's possible within our human limitations, but we, like David, can look beyond those limitations to what only God can do. Anxiety says you can't. Faith says God can. Anxiety says you won't. Faith says God will. We are never in the battle alone, and that makes all the difference. And that's the beauty of roll call. We're never in this battle alone. You know, there's always avenues. There's always, you know, people we can reach out to and talk to. I want to remind everybody, you know, that's listening, that the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 988.
I was just going to drop that. This
You know,
is one pause real quick. I know a lot of people are watching, and people can be triggered by what we're sharing. So I wanted to ask if Daniela or anybody watching, please, we're talking and we're pouring out, and we need to be very cognizant that there's people that can and will be triggered. So thank you, my brother. Please go ahead, and then we're going to transition.
The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is a wonderful resource because it's manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year by licensed clinical professionals, either a psychiatrist, a licensed social worker, or a physician's assistant that's been trained in psychiatry as their specialty, licensed professional counselors. You know, there's a licensed person that you know has been trained in the area of mental health on the other end that you can talk to. And that is the first step in healing, is reach out and talk to someone. So I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, my brother. You know, that's, you know, we give him a clap because I know that he poured a lot there, and we don't want to gloss over, you know, again, you poured a lot there, like Coach T.O., you basically are both in alignment. Coach T.O. shook his hand, looked at his eyes, knew his family, and the question lingers, like, what could I have done, right? So you had that survivor's remorse on some capacity, because you're like, what could I have done? You have this young man who goes out and commits this atrocity and then ultimately takes his own life. These are people in pain. These are our friends. These are our families. These are people that they're in pain. And so as brothers and sisters, I can say all of us are brothers and sisters in Christ. Thank you for sharing Colossians. And whatever you do it earthly as to the Lord. Mm-hmm. We need to recognize this. This is the power of roll call. This is the power of chapter 22, where we identify and we say, listen, we can't do this thing called life alone. We need each other. Like, I need Coach T.O. I need Stephen Moore this morning to pour. I need my wife who's on there, you know, diligently sharing this information. I think that if we can get to a place, especially as we get older, that we recognize we don't stand on top of a mountain. I've been almost sober 2 years. You've been sober 35 years, and I have your beautiful book here. We're not saying we've arrived. We will never arrive. That's not a thing. Coach T.O., your take on that, my good brother.
Yeah, we never, you know, arrive. Like, I'm a drug addict, like straight up and down. Yeah. You know, people could look me in the face and be like, well, dang, bro, you don't look like you're on drugs. You're not acting like you're on drugs, and you don't smell like you're on drugs or whatever. But the truth is, I'm a drug addict, man. I just choose to not use. That's it. You know, and when I talk about that in the memoir, Here to There, I've got a lot of questions about that. Bro, you know, why? Don't say that, bro. Don't say you're a drug addict, man. Like, well, you haven't been through what I've been through, not in regards of the drug use. I'm talking about the rehabilitation, the treatment, you know, and it's individualistic in terms of I have to be able to function in my mind, body, and spirit of knowing the moment, like you just said, Reverend Emilio, that I think I beat it, or I think I got it, or I got it all, you know, together and high mighty and all of that. That's the moment, man, easily. Like you said, that one time, I can have this one drink. You know, this one ain't gonna hurt me. You know, well, this one time getting high ain't gonna hurt me. Or I'm riding high in life and everything is going well and amazing. So let me go and do this one time. and I won't be near as where I was back in the day. Shout out to Teddy Scott, who's also in the chat, that understands exactly what we're talking about. So yeah, the triggering aspect of it, the triggers are everywhere, and we all know collectively, us three gentlemen, to include Teddy and many others that we love and know, people, places, and things, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I take that to the grave. People, places, things. So whatever the things are that are happening with individuals, again, it's a lot of, sometimes it could be people, sometimes it could be certain places. So yeah, man, it's real.
One thing I always like to work with clients on is to reshape the mindset, because it bothers clients initially, to say, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict. So encourage them to add the word healing. I'm a healing alcoholic, not healed, healing alcoholic.
I love that. I've never heard that.
Drug abuser. I'm a healing cocaine user, whatever, because basically the word healing implies growth.
Absolutely.
And like it implies that you're on the road to recovery, which is where you should.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Thank you for adding that. Coach Tio, have you ever heard that? I've never, because most people either you have, because most people either they say it, I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a recovery, or they tell you the extreme. Don't say that. But I think injecting that healing, if you're someone who's going to use it, that's powerful, Coach Tio.
Yeah, I agree with Steve, man. When it comes to like it, it has to be a time of truth. That truth is, man, if you get high, you get high, right? If you're what we call it recreational, you're recreational. But if you're an addict, bro, you have zero control over how that utilization of that substance or that poison is taking over you. So I understand how people could feel that man, I'll never, it's like the manifestation understanding. Why it's like me saying I'm a thief. I've stole something in life before. I stole a peppermint out of my mom's purse at church. You know what I'm saying? So, but here I am in 2026 saying, "Oh, I'm a thief because I took a peppermint out of my mom's purse." We're talking about life or death here. My mom wasn't going to kill me because I took a peppermint out of her purse, but that drug was going to kill me, and very, very quick, fast on the hurry to do that. So I accepted the fact that it is the truth, bro. Like once I was educated on what addiction really is, yeah, all of that reality fit me. So it was like, bro, yo, that's what it is. So do I walk around every day? Do I go in Walmart, Steve, Reverend Emilio, and to the movie theater, and the first words out of my mouth is, "Hey, I'm T.O. Clay, and I'm a drug addict"? No, it's ridiculous. But I can sit here today with you gentlemen and know in my heart that, hey, man, that's a part of my life that will always be. And that reminder will always be. And the reminder starts with self. So,
thank you, Coach Tio. And Coach Tio, and I'm going to ask both of you this because I'm loving how you're pouring in. And we have three different individuals here, three different backgrounds, right? Three different cultures, if we look at this. And yet here we are sharing each other's experiences. And what's coming to me is as I'm getting older, and if you've been in the rooms of AA, they say keep it on the eye, right? When they say keep it on the eye, because let's just say I stopped drinking for a month. All of a sudden, I've got my own way of how that happened. And now there's someone who has one day, they're struggling, maybe 2 weeks. And I'm like, let me tell you what you got to do. I got goosebumps on this because it's like you want to tell them how to do it, yet you don't really know what's going on. There's a lot of layers to how they got here. You have the symptomologies and all of this. And that's one of the things that I every day have come to understand, that Coach T.O.'s journey is different. Steve is different. And I'm not going to tell Steve, this is what you got to do. Coach, so this is what you got to do, right? Because a lot of things, there's some resolved issues. But as long as you can guide with the healing aspect and say, listen, Coach T.O., I've got about, almost 2 years in. Let me tell you what my healing journey looks like. This may or may not work for you. But for me to tell someone, you better do it this way, like you better do it through church.
Yeah.
That I could be giving someone a death sentence.
Right.
So I would like your feedback on that.
Go ahead,
Well,
Steve.
There's more than one way to recover. And I believe I talk about this in I'm pretty sure I talk about this in my book. I highly recommend that you incorporate a sponsor and or recovery coach, a therapist into your recovery mix, because the difference between like a recovery coach or your sponsor and a therapist is the therapist is trained to basically help you, excuse my French, look at your shit. Because we all grow up with family muckety muck. I mean, I realized that, the rolling fantasy, when I was growing up, because we always had these, made for TV families, as I call them in my song. Nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors, but a sobriety coach or your sponsor can help you just by being another listening ear, somebody, they can help guide you. They've walked the walk, and they're, helping you walk the walk. And therapists, are trained basically to help you get in and dive in a little bit deeper than that, go beyond the 12 steps and work on like, okay, where is my shame coming from? What's causing it? I'm constantly hearing this voice in my head saying, you're worthless and you're never going to amount to that. Where did that come from? And once I finally put an ID and a label on that voice, my God, it went away. A miracle, So, I mean, there's beauty in our brokenness, as the old gospel song says, but I guess what I'm saying here is you don't want to isolate. You don't want to work your recovery program alone. That's the worst thing you can do for yourself. Reach out, and I would encourage, all of our veterans, reach out and tell somebody that they're worthwhile and they're worth it, and that, that you're glad they're part of your life, because you never know. When if the person that you're giving that compliment to is this close to suicide's doorstep, you won't ever know.
Thank you,
and also too, it could also as well, man, because again, gentlemen, I know all three of us, we're thinkers. We think, a man can only soar as high as he can think. That's the truth. A man can only soar as high as he can think. And as I am sitting here thinking, we're talking about veterans, man. A lot. Someone knows this, whether it's you two, whether it's me, the individuals in the chat watching, stopping by, listening while they're working out right now. Bro, veterans have a sincere reality when it comes to alcohol, man. And we've always said it, like, you don't go into PX or any store, 7-day store, whatever, on base, and look in the glass refrigerator, and there's fentanyl and all of these drugs out there. But you best believe when you walk in there, somebody's already got it in their hand, standing in line. It's all around you. Every restaurant. in Reverend Emilio and I talked about this the other day. It takes a strong individual to beat alcohol, man. I don't care who you are, bro. You know, my father was an alcoholic at 12. He's 12 years old, alcoholic. Why? Because it was around him. So when we talk about the people, places, and things, the environment, there's some veterans out there right now that they want to go UA to get away from the madness of what's around them. So and that's something I struggled with, being, you know, coming from the background of dealing in drugs. My freedom was getting in the military. My freedom was, man, I'm secure. Now, if I go outside that gate and ride out, you know, the certain spots within this vicinity and where I'm stationed, I know it's there. You know, oh, I just got paid on the 1st of 15th. I know it's out there, bro. But the reality was, you know, alcohol was never that thing that triggered me to go back to that gate of the main real issue that I struggled with. So again, my hat off to you two gentlemen, man. And I could line this whole room up with individuals that claim, like myself, that, hey, I've had issues with drugs in the past, however long ago that was. But for you gentlemen, it's a different fight, man. A lot of the principles are the same in terms of how we heal, how we recover. But brother, I haven't physically seen drugs in years, like physically seen them. You two, you saw alcohol yesterday in some form or fashion, whether it was sitting there looking at freaking football, every other commercial's about damn alcohol.
Yep.
So it takes a strong individual. And Reverend Emilio said it. You cannot do it alone, bro.
No.
The moment the enemy starts getting in your mindset that, oh man, I'm okay, I'm okay. No, I love you two so much because I know, man, from a very young age, sitting in AA, saying to myself with my arms crossed, like, man, hey, I'm not no drinking problem. I'm just in here because the court appointed me to be in here.
Yeah.
You know, it's not my issue.
Yeah.
But man, I was forced to really, and that's why I say, man, when God started dealing with me, gentlemen, he showed me the reflection in the mirror through AA, alcoholism. It was almost like alcoholism helped me to stop using drugs. Because even with the drugs, it was like, you know, it was all of those same manipulative things. And so, man, listen, we can have a whole episode about this, but I know there's veterans out there right now that's gonna turn us off, bro. They're gonna turn it off, man. Man, whatever, dude. Like, I don't want to sit here and listen to you old fools talk about dang on me having a problem drinking alcohol. Man, get out of here. But throughout the rest of the day, it's on your mind, bro. Because if it's starting to affect things in your life, if it's keeping you from your highest form, your purpose, if it's causing, you know, toxicity all around you, you may not see it, you know, and that's how that thing works. Like, you don't see it. You don't see that your decisions are, you know, really affected by it. How you're treating people, how you're showing up, all those things. That's why I say, man, when I look at you today, Reverend Emilio, man, I'm so proud of you, brother. Well beyond, you know, because you made a choice. You when you said, man, I'm done, that's when the things start moving. So I'm very passionate about this, not only because I've experienced the journey. Man, I got family members still right there in that every single day, and it has affected the whole entire family. And it's harder for me to swallow it because it's like another reflection of the mirror. Well, dang, at one time I did this too. And I feel like it's a responsibility for me, man, to speak about it and be real about it. So, gentlemen, thank you too, man. Like, all jokes aside, thank you.
Thank you, brother. Go ahead. I want to add something, but I'm gonna let Steve jump in. But you and I got something in common, Coach Tio, that I want to chime in real quick. But go ahead.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro.
The best advice my sponsor and therapist ever gave me, and I use it to this day, is because you're going to run into this. People are going to ask you, at bars and at parties, hey, how come you don't drink? And I look at them and go, because I do stupid, irresponsible shit when I drink. Excuse me. I hope this isn't a
Yeah.
G-rated show.
Right. Right. No, it's real,
Yeah.
bro. It's 100.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Where I was literally drowning in stupid, irresponsible shit that I was doing. So that's why I don't.
Wow, bro.
So, Steve, I like that one. And
Wow.
I'll share the one that I've learned. But thank you for that one. Coach T.O., I'm going to blend it all in quickly here.
Yeah, bro.
Again, guys, if you're watching this, anyone's watching this, please share this out. Sharing is caring. We can't say this enough, right? Again, we're sharing and pouring out our hearts on stuff. This isn't make-believe stuff, right? So people don't want to hear that alcohol is poison. Thank you, love. So, Coach T.O., you and I have something in common. So quickly, first time I was mandated to go to AA. It was in the military. And it was, if anyone who's been in the service, you're watching this, whenever there's a alcohol related incident, a fight or anything, one of the first things they do, and rightfully so, like I'm for it, is they send you to one of these classes, right? So of course I resisted it at first, but I was in an alcohol related incident. I don't even remember what it was, but whatever that was, they sent me to AA, and like Coach T.O., I folded my hands. And when everyone went around and go, hello, my name is Steve and I'm an alcoholic. Hello, my name is Coach T.O. Many people said, I'm an alcoholic / drug addict. Like in the rooms, people identify. And you got to let them identify where they identify.
Yeah.
I would go, hello, my name is Emilio. And I was sent here. Like that was my attitude. First time I went to AA, I just needed my card. I needed my card signed.
Yep.
So fast forward, it saved my life, and it made me kept, going, man, like there's a real issue here. It made me realize it. But again, to Steve's point now, what I've learned, and I say this when I'm at a social meeting and someone says, they offer me a drink and someone keeps pushing it to me. I'm like, listen, man, I'm allergic to alcohol. And people go, what? Yeah, I'm allergic to alcohol. I break out of handcuffs. So that's my thing.
I love that.
Yeah, so that one is I break out of handcuffs. Like, what? Because every time I drink, I do stupid stuff. To your point.
Right.
So that typically is a way, if you're someone, share this with someone who is attempting to get, sober, and you got a cousin and auntie, and they're gonna come at you. They're gonna come at you. You gotta think it through.
Yeah, bro. I just like hearing you all, because again, like we talked about earlier with the whole suicide piece. Listening to you all, I'm not alone, bro, because it's a mind altering, and the mind altering is like, I just love hearing y'all say, man, I do stupid stuff. Like I do stupid crap, man. Like the most stupid crap I've ever done in my life. Timothy T. Oakley was fooling around with that darkness, man, that poison. At times I look at my mama like, mama, it wasn't me. Mama, it wasn't me, mama. Like, she's like, no, it was you. Whether you think it was you or not, it was you. I looked at the police. Sir, it wasn't me, sir. Sir, I didn't mean to. Sir, I'm supposed to be at home right now, but I don't know how I found myself here, sir. So for any individual out there, and there's wide open communication. If you want to talk more about it, we're here. We're not, anybody that we don't claim to be, but we have some experience in that area. All three of us collectively, and we want to help you. We can sit on this platform and talk about accolades for a whole stream.
Right.
We can sit on this platform and talk about places we've been stationed for a whole stream. And I can just keep naming them. So if you came by and this is your first time here, I don't, wish that you walk away feeling like, oh man, these guys are beating me up because I'm dealing with that right now. That's not the case.
Yes.
We're not on a pedestal in any means. We have all experienced it, and we know within our culture and our environment, particularly military, these are things a lot of times that, hey, they don't get talked about in this type of setting or form. You just go to the SACO. I don't know what you all call it, Steve, in the Air
Yeah.
Force, but
Right.
hey, Marines got an issue with alcohol or drugs. Hey, send them to the SACO, and the SACO does the intake, and next thing you know, they're standing there for non-judicial punishment, court martial, and they're kicked out, but they still have the same addiction. They have the same problem. And now they got a big chicken dinner known to civilians out there as a bad conduct discharge. And all of these different things, again, until you get sober, I just keep doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
My whole career was shot in the foot by myself because of stupid stuff. So, a lot of the young guys, as they read my book today, they're like, wow, Sergeant Major, I would have never thought you, out of all people, were dealing with drugs and all of that. I get it. It's a while ago, but you spoke of it so raw and so fresh. It was just like, wow. And I always catch myself telling them, gentlemen, that, hey, man, listen, um, we all have a past, and that's why I took the military so serious, because I knew that's all I had left, bro. And I'm still grateful to this day. But as we can sit here on this platform and share, gentlemen, uh, I love it. Parting words, gentlemen. Any parting words
Yes.
before we roll out of here?
Thank you, Coach Tio. And I want Steve to, I want to honor Steve, right? So thank you, Coach Tio, for sharing and for co-hosting this. I love it. We want to honor Steve Moore. Steve Moore is a beloved veteran who is also part of the inaugural edition of Born to Rest. In fact, Steve has chapter 19. So we thank you for that, my good brother. And
Yeah,
as
man.
Coach Tio knows, Coach Tio did so graciously did the forward on this. So we're tethered with that inaugural book, by the way, launching in August, the summer of August coming up. So you can make sure that you get your copies. If you want to reach out to Coach T.O., he'll have copies, and Steve. And this is Steve's standalone book. He's got other projects, but we want to thank you and honor you, Steve. I know it says 34 years sobriety. I believe you currently have 35. If you wouldn't mind quickly sharing with people how they can get a hold of you and what is it that you can do for them.
The best way to get a hold of me is through More, MOORE, sobriety.com. It's hit or miss right now on the website because it's in development. So, that my developer may have it down, but more sobriety.com. There's a contact me button there. And also my cell phone, 713-299-7404. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
That's right. Thank you, Steve. And we're so gracious for you.
I'm grateful for you guys.
Listen, we're grateful, obviously. Thank you. Just parting words on your part before Coach T.O. closes us out in prayer. Give us just encouragement for those that are currently struggling, for those that are dealing with suicide ideation. What would you say to those individuals?
Reach out and talk to somebody. It's not a sign of weakness if you reach out and ask someone for help. That was the biggest lesson I had to learn, because I felt like I was a total failure, because I felt like, well, I this thing that they're calling alcoholism or addiction, whatever, is, excuse my French, kicking my ass. And I don't like that. But the bottom line reality is, addiction is an illness. It is, it basically takes control of our mind, our body, and our spirit, and it makes us do regrettable things. And so, my uh, suggestion is always to reach out and ask for help. You know, talk to a therapist, talk to a sobriety coach, talk to a sponsor, but
So much.
ask for help because we're more than willing to just listen. You know, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got as a counselor is shut up and listen.
Right.
Amen. Thank you, Steve. Guys, give it up for Steve. Connect with Steve. He's on all social media platforms. Please reach out to him. Highly encourage you to pick up his book and reach out to him if you need to personally. And we've got our good brother, Coach T.O.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Steve, for just being who you are, man. And
Thank you.
if I'm walking through the airport, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, and I see that book, bro, I'm going to stop and I'm going to pick it up, bro. You know what I'm saying? If I have the loot in my pocket to purchase it, I'm going to probably 9 times out of 10 purchase it, brother, because it resonates with me. You know, when I see the word sober, it's like, man, wow, I really know what that means, brother. Like I know the fight of what that particular word really means, sober.
Yeah.
You know, so I applaud you today, man. This morning, you know, roll call, born to risk, 07, veteran inaugural edition, Reverend Emilio Ramon, man. I applaud you because it's a real fight, you know, and you chose to fight back and you did something about it. You know, Emilio and I talk all the time about that key word, selfishness, man. And a lot of times we're bold enough to say it, bro. If you don't want to share your story, bro, you selfish, man. You know, I know how to fight, bro. I'm a United States Marine. So, hey, and I pack my heat everywhere I go. I have to. Like, it's just in my blood, bro. Like, people out here are crazy. I don't want to hurt no one, Steve, but I'm just saying, by calling you selfish, if that offends you, you know, that's a good thing. Because if you have a story of any type of redemption, a story of any type of fighting back and getting back on your feet, I tether that and channel that with God, bro. God helped us get through it. So we're stingy and selfish if we're not willing to lend out and try to help someone else, bro. You know, so this again, this stream today, we talked about suicide, we talked about addiction. No, if you are a veteran, if you're around a veteran, if there's a veteran in your family, you're married to a veteran, someone that's active duty currently serving right now, these are the real issues right now in Washington, D.C. They're still trying to figure out. It doesn't take us to be retired to know that. They're still trying to figure it out, bro. And some of these leadership and those in charge are the biggest offenders of struggling with it. And it's the truth.
Yep.
You know, if you serve 30 years in the military, 25 years in the military, 20 years in the military, man, you've been walking that walk for a very long time. Then you get out and it just ends. And now you're sitting on the couch with a remote control. Shout out to dang on Michael Stevens. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I talked to a gentleman last week that was real enough to say, hey, man, I feel lonely, Clay. Man, I'm struggling, bro. And I need this. I need this camaraderie. I need us, that brotherly love, gentlemen that understand my lingo, understand my language. So it's only fitting for us to end it with a simple dang on prayer. And that prayer says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Once again, for the hearts and minds out there, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Man, we
I love
appreciate y'all rocking with us. Yeah, man. Thank y'all. Love y'all out there.
you, man.
Have a
Big
great
hugs.
weekend. It's going to be cold out there, you all, wherever you're at right now. A lot of
Right here.
snowstorms, freezing ice. Man, be safe out there. Don't isolate. Don't sit in the house. Find something positive to do. You know, do something, play the guitar, play the piano, do something. Call us. If Steve gave his number, you can reach out to Reverend Emilio. You can reach out to me. Reach out to Mike Stevenson in the chat. He's an AI guy. Go talk to him. And keep your mind occupied on the purpose and the why. We love y'all out there. Monday morning, we'll be ready to rock and roll 07. Peace.